Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is January 14th, 2026. We're trying to do a simulcast between YouTube and Facebook today, seeing how that works out. I seem to be in excellent on YouTube, where my majority of members are. Also on rumble.com and Facebook at John A. Costa. Okay, today going to be an interesting day because I'm working off my computer instead of a printed script. I just have that to reference back to on yes. The ball is rolling to impeach him. Now, I don't think that the Republicans can gather enough votes in the state of Minnesota in the legislation, legislators to do that. But it shows just how bad of a time Tim Walz is having in Minnesota with all the fraud. And we just know about the tip of the iceberg. A lot of this stuff is coming out in dribs and drabs. And Walz is, painting it as a political hatchet job on him, and you can't deny that the fraud has been going on. It just can't be denied. So, the GOP state representative Tim Weiner announced he had filed articles of impeachment against Walz, citing corrupt conduct that helped conceal ongoing fraud by a group made up largely of Minnesota's Somalia immigration population. Now, there are others involved in the fraud. We know that. There's no doubt about that. And it's going to, go across the race barrier, the political barrier, because when you're talking about all that, the only color that matters is green. I will look at both sides of a picture, and if it's legal, when I say legal, constitutionally, but of them actually doing it and trying to fight it in the courts, there's nothing to fight about. If a president has the authority under the Constitution, then that's it, folks. There's no argument about it. You could vote the president out. Come election time, you could vote the party out, and that's certainly allowed when it's done above board, which is extremely questionable in 2020. But Walz is having a very hard time of it, as he should. When he was running for vice president, he screamed about transparency and how he was an open book. And in the meantime, the DNC, by the Biden administration, on the fraud that was taking place inside Minnesota, yet they ran this guy anyway. And why was Tim Walz chosen? Other than the fact that no one else stepped up to the plate. Hillary Clinton, which I would really doubt because there was no love lost between those two. And Michelle Obama, who I think Michelle Obama was smarter than, of course she's smarter than Harris. A light bulb is smarter than Harris. Oh, a light bulb is brighter than Harris. Let me just put it that way. The truth of the whole Harris, and that will come out. Believe me, that's going to come out. Come 2028 election. You know how the DNC played everyone, and it was they were just lying. They were gaslighting all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean the American voters. I don't mean me. For, Democrats. I voted for Bill Clinton. And would Hillary Clinton had run against Donald Trump originally, I probably, would, I'll take that back because I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. But would had Biden had chosen Hillary Clinton as a running mate, when her turn to come up, I would have voted for her. But I just couldn't vote for her with the stuff that was going on and the nonsense. And like I said, I have voted Democrat. When I lived in New York, I voted for Schumer. I always voted for Republican judges, though. And at the time, I liked Chuck Schumer. He was able to walk down the middle of the aisle, and he knew how to get things done. He knew exactly who to go to, the yin and the yang. It's all about the progressives who have absolutely declared civil war inside the Democratic Party. And I blame the moderate Democrats for not standing up to them and tell them, hey, you want to do what you're saying you do? You start a third party. But you're not going to come onto this party and ruin our brand. And they didn't do that. They didn't do that. They chose to just really go out of their minds, go out of their way to shove their agenda down the American people. Girls' bathrooms. You don't think that was all part of the LGBTQ NAMBLA? That the Democrats got out there and fought for. The Democrats were the party of family values, was the party of a strong, defensive United States, the party of making sure the American worker was protected. And they threw that all away. And it actually was done extremely quickly. In about 12 years, they threw that all out. And the Republicans got more conservative. And you have Donald Trump saying, hey, I want jobs here. I want people working. And the unions who fought. And I go, listen, what these guys are saying, I understand, we're the oppressed workers. We're not the oppressed workers. We can change jobs whenever we want to. No one's saying, you start off life as a farmer and you end up as a farmer. That's not true. But what is true is that if we don't have the industries, we don't have the jobs. If we don't have the jobs, we don't have a union. What are you going to unionize? The unemployed? Gee, that happened before. Where did that happen? I'm going to say Nazi Germany. So you have to look at things and say, yes, in the short term, I can understand people going, oh, big business. Well, big business is who employs you. And if you're employed there, and it is so unjust there, you'll have no problem starting a union. And the company side is to tarnish the union. So they just want your, weekly pay. They want this. All the union does is protect the unproductive. So it goes both ways. But you can't have a union unless you have an employer. Bill Clinton, who was forced into signing NAFTA, and people saying, no, that's good. How can it be good? It'd be good if Mexico at the time was paying their people $18 an hour, but they weren't. And big business moved across the border. And there weren't the safety standards. They weren't in place protection. And NAFTA should never have even left the drawing board. Massive jobs on the technical front. And industry here was the biggest culprit where, why should I spend $1 billion on an assembly line? Where I'm now going to have to fight with the unions about it. And, what am I going to do? Build this $1 billion facility and just bring over 60 or 80 of these union jobs where there were 800, they'll never allow me to do it. They'll shut me down. And instead of trying to work something out through, attrition, buyouts, and things like that, they just stuck to, we'll just do it your job is to put the lug on the wheels, and your job is to put the windshield in, and your job, and Toyota, or Datsun at the time, and was able to have these factories in Japan that used, 25 people to build a car, where it took us 120 people to build a car. And then they got it down even lower. And we couldn't compete. And our tariff system and things of that nature were just so skewed that, they could bring these cars in for $2,300, brand new car, and you were paying $4,800 for a Chrysler. Well, what were you going to drive if you just taking it to work every day? Yeah. And, that was the end. And that was Japan against us. And then you had India in the technology side. Their call centers, their data centers, their online help centers. And before India, a lot of that stuff was going into Ireland. So what happened? People are talking about AI. What do you think is going to happen with AI? Now, I don't see AI as being because AI, we now have the infrastructure in place of connectivity. And it's very easy to communicate from here to there. And you don't actually need to have, these big computer systems in facilities anymore. Because I don't need a wire stretching, and all these wires going out. Now everything comes down one wire. And, that's why these companies want movement through a space. You need more movement through it. You need more throughput through it. It has to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Connectivity and the ease that I know that this machine will talk to that machine, and there'll be no problems in connectivity. And it's easy for companies to connect, whereas before that wasn't the case. They had to have people there, they had to have people doing it, and it was actually hard for them to do that and expensive. Now it's not. AI will work and it will take certain jobs away, but it won't take all the jobs away. Something to be concerned about. So we were talking about Walz and now being impeached. The Democrats are truly in a free fall. You had Schumer today speaking that it was a rough 2025 for us, but I know we're going to take the houses back in 2026. How? You haven't offered anything. The only thing you offered is Orange Man, Baby Trump, Epstein with nothing. And you just can't have that. You just can't have it. You must have a plan. But you don't make that so high that it can never be obtained. And then you've done nothing. So you have to be flexible. A plan can have inside plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, it all contained in A. The Democrats have not done that. What the Democrats have done is allowed the progressives to take over major cities that were, in disrepair anyway. New York City has been a cesspool for the last 40 years, and debt-ridden, and keep shoving money at it, and not addressing the problems and giving the money where it shouldn't go. There was times that the subways were falling apart, and finally they had to fix the subways. But in the meantime, the MTA, doubled the should be fired, and Port Authority and everyone else should be fired. Because you didn't have a plan. Elon Musk. Why do you think that all they did was criticize him and the people, and he's got 19-year-olds working for them? How dare him? Because the data doesn't care how old you are. All that happens is you have people that know how to extract the data in a means to present it. And the data's all there, but no one ever connected it. Oh, there were people that connected it, but believe me, you never hear from these people. And the amount of fraud, hey, you got X amount of dollars here, and this is what you're saying you had over here, and this is what moved over there. I can't reconcile it. How can this person be getting, they're 96 years old and died 18 years ago, and they're still getting checks? And some of this money is going into multiple accounts. Going here, going there, going there. You got this one going to that state, and it's the same person, same tie back. And then, all these people, yeah. And why do you think Trump said I can fire them all? Because, and I don't have Republican administrations, and that was in Democrat administrations. And they were afraid of Elon Musk. Going, ooh. Wasn't expecting that. And why do you think they were bad-mouthed? Now, the liberals loved RFK Jr. because he was like, stick it to him, go in there, fight for it, fight. And all of a sudden he gets in there and he's going, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. We're chasing this stuff you've been being told is wrong, and then now everyone's up in arms. Now he's the enemy. And it was the same thing with Musk. It wasn't big business that was the enemy. It was the people sitting there that should have been protecting you from the big businesses. And then you had the people with their hands in your pocket in Minnesota, in Illinois, in Ohio. Today, what did they say? Allegedly $250 billion in fraud in California. Why do you think they were so afraid? Why do you think? Do you think that was because he was going to do such a great job? Or was it because he was in the hen house seeing who was robbing it? Yeah, I'm going to go with the hen house theory. That the people in power, Republicans too, you look at all these NGOs. And remember all the people, the 200, 30 million people a day are going to die in the world because Trump stopped aid to them. What happened to that? What happened to that big threat? Yeah. Remember Zika? Everyone was going to have small-headed babies. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. No. What happened? Zika disappeared. The best one I loved was monkeypox. Work for you. Oh, the mask didn't work, right? Oh, no. You're wrong. You're an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just want to know what's going in me. We made all these companies put that on labels. Why can't I know what's going in me in something you're jabbing into my system that I can never get rid of? I could stop eating Mott's applesauce if I find that they're, putting bug heads in there, which they're not. I'm not so sure I'll ever get that out of me. So I'd like to know. And you had Democrats screaming to lock people up, arrest them, put them in special camps. We'll make them wear something to show that they're unvaccinated, so we know. Gee, what did you think? Maybe a nice star on my coat? That would have looked nice, huh, Democrats? You fooled no one. You fooled no one. And you're going to you paid the price, and you're going to pay it again in 2028, 2026. You're paying for your lies. Governor Hochul in New York, you're doomed. You're doomed. New York City Attorney General now, New York Attorney General Letitia, I married my father, James, is throwing her political weight. There are companies that own huge blocks of buildings and apartments that control about 9,000 units. And that company has gone, filed for bankruptcy, and another company has come in, Summit Gold, had made a $450 million dollar offer to take those units away from the company that's currently in charge of that, a Pinnacle Group. Now, the Pinnacle Group has done a terrible job, according to New York City, on housing violations and building codes and things, and has amassed $125 million in fines. The problem I have with the fines is some of these fines are ridiculous, you know. I mean, and some of them are justifiable. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Some of these fines are justifiably, people shouldn't live in those type of conditions or have that ongoing condition. You buy a new boiler for a building. That's what the fine should be. If the fine is, $2, pay the $2. Shut this guy up. But when you hit for $2 million, you're like, oh, how much would it cost to have repaired that? $600,000. What happens now is New York State and New York City are fighting in the bankruptcy court, or at least trying to halt the sale of assets. I don't think they'll be successful. But what they can do is tear up the road and make it bumpy for the Summit Group, to the point where Summit goes, hey, listen, we realize there's these $125 million worth of fines outstanding. The company filed for bankruptcy, and theoretically they go away. But let's just say you eliminate those fines as we start going in there and making the repairs. That, we'll take $80 million, set it aside to make repairs. And we'll report to you monthly on the repair progress and the money we're spending to do it and the contractors we're using. That could be the pressure being put on by New York City to this group, which is all right. That's, part of doing business in New York, asked Donald Trump. So, but if it is so New York can make a bid against this, that's not even socialism, that's communism. And this is where the Democrats are going to in a lot of these big cities, because they're just so broke and so badly run. Because if people are living in welfare, you can't get money out of them. They're living there, Section 8, whatever, you know. What they're paying is what they're paying. And if the rent never goes up, yet oil goes up, that's fueling, and they go, well, we want them to go on, you know, solar. Well, still has to put solar. There's only so much open spots you could do. What's your answer? And I'll tell you right now, it's always cheaper for the private sector to run these things than it is a government institution. Because with government institution, you already know this fraud. It's built into the system, folks. So let's not kid around with that. I think the 2026 is going to be just reeling around all the fraud in these states. And a lot of these people that are running are keeping very quiet on both sides. And you see a lot of people go, I'm not going to run for office this year. I'm not going to run for re-election. Yeah. Getting out of Dodge. The only problem is with these people that have been in office for such a long time, and if you're in the system for that long, you're there to hide, cover your tracks. After a while, you have to cover. This is a problem that will go on for a long time, and it always has been. You read some of the things where, you know, in the 1790s, they were complaining about a president buying, you know, this wine. And I think the problem for the Democrats is mounting. I think people are going to go, yeah, Epstein, yeah, okay, but what's going on over here with all this money? Maybe if we had some of that money, I wouldn't be paying, you know, $800 a month for health care. Maybe I could be $200 a month or $300 a month. Why is this going on? Why do I have to pay for someone's education that they took a loan out for and now they don't want to repay it? Why am I stuck with that? And, you know, if you wanted true benefits of education like that, where it was paid, you want to become a doctor, that's fine. You're going to do this, this, and this, and we'll make the loan forgivable, but you got to work 10 years over here. Just on weekends or, you know, Wednesdays. I'm going to give you your time up. You know, no free lunch. Unless you want to pay your own way. You want to pay your own way? Great. The school wants to give you a private loan for it? Let them give you a private loan for it. But if you ask us for it, this is what it has to be. Basically, that's what's going on in the news today. There's a lot more going on. I'm just going to take a quick peek at some of the news trending, and some of it's junk, you know. New York's governor will push for state lawsuits against ICE agents. So, yeah, you know, you have these states that are now, you're going to have the Democrats jumping onto ICE. And what are they saying? What are these states actually saying? We're not going to follow federal law. We're not going to follow policies on immigration. It's so that it's almost impossible to approach someone without violating their Fourth Amendment rights, which everyone in the United States, here legally or illegally, is entitled to. So you make it so probable cause. So your probable cause is they're speaking Spanish. And they go, that's racist. That's profiling. Well, what else can we do? How else are we going to identify people we have no idea are here? Or we can't track them. We don't know where they are. Except by... And they go, well, you can't ask them that. We can't give you that information. That's private. That's, you make it impossible. They're making laws on the books in 1790 that are still on the books. And they're going to say, well, they're outdated. Well, there's Congress. There's the Senate. Go have at it. But until that's done, we're going to enforce it. And they hide. It is a shame which is going on. And it is truly unforgivable on what the Democrats are doing. Instead of solving the problem, they're making it worse. Instead of fixing a situation that they created, from Obama to Biden, they created this mess. And they allowed it. The people of America voted for Trump, who said, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to... All right? Game on. You're going to see what happens to you in 2026. The Democrats are not going to have a party anymore. Their party's falling apart. They're not getting financial support. They are all bedoomed. And it will be an ugly death. All right, with that, I'm going to leave you. I've been talking here almost an hour now, I think. Well, 45 minutes. 42 minutes and 39 seconds and clicking. Also, I did put up yesterday on my podcast, rest in peace, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. A remarkable individual, not only in his creative work, but in his life's work. And his just common sense approach on things and how to really fix yourself. He fought it hard. If you watched his podcasts and stuff, which I did, he went hard. But he fought it and faced the reality of it as best as people can face reality on what's going on with them. So, with that, a little tribute to Scott Adams. I'll have more because he's really a very influential person. So it is something that should be looked at, and Scott Adams was a brilliant, brilliant person and an influencer, like I said. You read his books, Reframe Your Brain is a great book. I have it. I haven't read it. I just read sections of it online. But it's a very good book. Very good book. A lot of common sense things in there that, you kind of forget because you're tilted. And you have to come back and look at it from a different angle. All right, with that, I'm going to say good night. If you can give it to a charity, please give it to a charity. If you're not comfortable with that, I can understand that. Please give to a local clergy run by private enterprises but are above board. And it goes to your community. That's what I like about it. Hug the people around you. And I will have the edited show of this where I put all my little comments right up over here. And because this one, I'm doing a simulcast live to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. First time I've done that in a while. And I'm seeing some streaming errors, but you could always catch it on my playlist, which will be the edited show. And my videos and stuff will be the edited. So they'll be nice and clean because they're being recorded on my switcher, which I had to fix yesterday. All right, all be well, be good. Chris Rowan. I know Sammy doesn't watch. Joey's too busy. And